Hello and welcome back to Reason News. Our top story today: in a dramatic moment during the high-profile sex trafficking and racketeering trial of Sean Diddy Combs, a federal judge in Manhattan immediately rejected a defense request for a mistrial. The motion, which came as the trial entered its third week, was prompted by testimony about the destruction of evidence in an alleged arson targeting rapper Kid Cudi's car. Sean Diddy Combs, 55, faces 5 federal charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Prosecutors allege Combs led a 2-decade criminal conspiracy that relied on fear, violence, and intimidation to control his inner circle and coerce women into unwanted sexual acts. If convicted, Combs could face 15 years to life in prison. The defense's request for a mistrial was sparked by testimony from Lance Jimenez, an arson investigator with the Los Angeles Fire Department. Jimenez described the 2012 firebombing of Kid Cudi's Porsche, which was set ablaze with a Molotov cocktail in his Hollywood Hills driveway. The incident occurred weeks after Combs reportedly became enraged upon learning that Cudi was dating Cassie Ventura. Jimenez testified that fingerprint cards collected after a prior break-in at Cudi's home were destroyed months after the fire on orders from someone at the LAPD who was not involved in the investigation. The defense objected when prosecutors asked if this struck him as unusual, arguing that the prosecution was trying to imply Combs's involvement in the destruction of evidence. Here's a video from CBS News.
So yes, Combs' team requested a mistrial earlier. This was denied by the judge, but they alleged prosecutorial misconduct. It was related to testimony from an LA Fire Department investigator who had looked into an incident of alleged arson at the house of Scott Mescudi, that's the rapper Kid Cudi. Now, there was some evidence of fingerprints that was apparently destroyed back in August 2012, and the defense felt that the prosecution was insinuating in front of the jury that Combs may have been involved in that. The judge ultimately gave the jury an instruction, and so this will move forward, of course, but there was evidence in that testimony tying Combs' car to Mescudi's house. That was related also to an alleged break-in that Mescudi had previously testified. So we heard about those 2 incidents today, and then testimony from a former stylist who worked with Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura.
Yeah, what did the stylist have to say? You're saying that there was testimony from the stylist who worked for Diddy and also for Cassie Ventura. So what did he say on the stand?
Well, one bit of news came out on the stand, which is we had heard Cassie Ventura went into labor, and he said that yesterday he congratulated her on her baby, so she has in fact now had the baby. He also said that he spoke with her when she was a witness in this trial about what she was wearing. But his testimony illuminated a number of additional instances of violence between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura. This is someone who was a stylist for both of them, who considers himself one of Cassie Ventura's best friends, and he told a number of harrowing stories, including that he helped Cassie hide from Sean Combs too many times for him to even count. He even said that he would keep $1,000 in cash on hand because sometimes he wanted to be able to go to a hotel and check in without having his name on it, because that was his level of fear with Sean Combs. But for instance, one of the stories he told was about how Combs came to an apartment, Cassie was asleep, he dragged her by her hair off of the couch, went into a bedroom, began attacking her, and it wasn't until there was a lot of blood that Combs even began hitting her. And it was a few seconds after that. He said there was blood, and he kept hitting her face, and she eventually ended up with a gash on her head. She had to be taken to a plastic surgeon and ended up with stitches. But like so many witnesses we've heard who were close to Combs, there's many dimensions to this relationship. It also came out that he has still stayed in touch with him over the years and even calls it a loving exchange when he is in touch with Combs, despite all of this testimony of aggression and fear.
During a break with the jury out of the room, defense attorney Alexandra Shapiro argued that the prosecution's line of questioning amounted to prosecutorial misconduct. She claimed the government was unfairly suggesting Combs had tampered with evidence, calling the implication highly prejudicial. Shapiro also pointed out that during jury selection, some prospective jurors were excluded because they believed Combs could buy his way out of the charges. She argued that the prosecution's questions played into those preconceptions. U.S. District Judge Arun Subramanian swiftly denied the mistrial request. He stated, "There was absolutely no testimony from the witness that was prejudicial in any way, shape, or form." The judge instructed the jury to disregard any mention of the destroyed fingerprint cards, emphasizing that the evidence was irrelevant to the charges at hand. Such requests for mistrial are not uncommon in lengthy federal cases, but this was the first in Combs's trial, which has already featured hundreds of pieces of evidence and dozens of witnesses. The trial centers on accusations that Combs orchestrated a pattern of abuse, intimidation, and exploitation. Prosecutors allege he used coercion to compel women, including Ventura, to participate in drug-fueled sexual events with male sex workers. The 2012 arson is alleged to be part of a broader campaign of violence and intimidations to silence victims and prevent them from leaving Combs's circle. Wednesday's proceedings also included testimony from Deontay Nash, a former stylist for Combs and Ventura. Nash described witnessing Combs threaten Ventura, saying he would beat her and ruin her music career, and recounted an incident where Combs allegedly assaulted Ventura while she was sleeping, causing her head to bleed after hitting a bed frame. Nash testified he called 911 but was told to hang up and that he feared retaliation. Prosecutors argued that the 2012 arson and other alleged acts of violence were part of a pattern designed to intimidate and control. They say Combs used his wealth and influence to orchestrate a criminal enterprise. The defense, meanwhile, contends that while Combs may have led a tumultuous personal life, he is not guilty of the federal crimes charged. They argue that the prosecution is overreaching and attempting to prejudice the jury with unrelated or tangential evidence. This trial, now in its third week, is expected to continue with further witness testimony and cross-examination. The prosecution will continue to build its case around patterns of alleged abuse, intimidation, and racketeering, while the defense will seek to challenge the credibility of witnesses and the relevance of the evidence presented. If convicted, Combs faces a potential life sentence. The case has drawn intense public and media scrutiny, with reactions from across the music industry and beyond. Many are watching closely to see how the court navigates the complex web of allegations, celebrity, and legal arguments. As the trial moves forward, the stakes remain high for Combs, the witnesses, and the broader conversation about power and accountability in the entertainment industry. We will continue to follow this developing story and bring you updates as they happen. Thank you for joining us. Until next time, stay updated, informed, and curious.